In the state of Tennessee, almost 16,000 inmates are released from prison each year.
As of June 30th, there were more than 12,000 paroled inmates, more than 50,000 released on probation, and more than 7,000 under community corrections programs.
That is a total of more than 70,000 former inmates living among Tennessee's population.
Think about the following situations. Which of these three people interacting with this former inmate is most at risk?
Prisons have become revolving doors for inmates. In fact, a study by the Bureau of Justice notes that over 70% of inmates will be arrested again within 3 years of their release. High rates of reincarceration strongly correlate with high-risk sexual behaviors and drug abuse.
This phenomenon presents as an interesting dynamic as it pertains to HIV awareness and prevention. A study in 2002 suggested that nearly 25% of the HIV population passes through correctional facilities. Consequently, AIDS is 5 times more prevalent in prison than in the general U.S. population. The concern is that inmates will continue the spread of HIV upon release through high-risk behaviors, especially to the ones they love.
So I was incarcerated for 7 years.
Here in the state of Tennessee, there's approximately 19,000 prisoners, and every year about half of those persons who are released are African American and males.
They don't disclose their status, and they want to be promiscuous with other people.
The fact is that within 3 years, most of them are back in prison again. And this culture, this revolving door culture, I think causes our community to be susceptible to contacting HIV/AIDS.
You know, you're monitored. And a lot of the modern prisons have cameras in each cell. So it's not like you just gonna lay down and start having sex here and there and everywhere. If you might have money on your books. You might can pay somebody to, you know, let you do certain things. Sometimes it's forced on them. Sometimes by someone that may be infected. They may not ever know until later years or later on, or whenever they decide in their own mind that they want to be tested.
A poll taken at a Rhode Island prison revealed that 78% of former inmates approved of mandatory HIV testing.
72% of those who tested positive approved of mandatory testing because knowing their diagnosis would allow them to receive appropriate medical care, plan for the future, and modify behavior to lessen the chance of spread to their partners.
I had 2 pieces of legislation. One of those legislation had to do with education. The other one had to do with testing inmates before they left prison. Well, we know that in the U.S. and in the state of Tennessee that African Americans make up approximately 17% of the population, yet over 50% of all new cases affect African American community and the Latino community. If this bill was to be approved, then what it would say is that once an inmate is released from prison, then that they would have to be tested, and Department of Public Health would have an obligation to notify them if they were HIV positive and provide education for them on what services were available to help them.
It's a good idea because that's not putting you in any certain category, or it's just for your safety actually, so that you know where you are.
In 2002, 7.5 million prisoners were released to return to their respective communities without being tested for HIV upon release.
Studies have shown screening to be an effective strategy in the prevention of HIV transmission. Infected persons who are aware of their status can benefit from antiretroviral therapy. This not only increases their quality of life, but reduces the likelihood of person-to-person transmission.
Furthermore, less than half of U.S. prison systems provide HIV testing for inmates upon entry or exit. despite the fact that they have 5 times the risk of contracting AIDS.
You may have assumed that the inmate posed little or no threat in the last scenario. This is the hidden danger we seek to address.
Each day, prisoners are released into the general population. They could be our neighbors, friends, or family members, just faces in the crowd.
Inmates have a 5 times greater risk of having AIDS, and according to the CDC, people who do not know their HIV status are 3.5 times more likely to transmit the virus. Ensuring that reintegrated inmates know their HIV status can go a long way towards protecting the health of our community as a whole.